sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Howdy.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. Hey guys, I kind of hinted at it, but I'd like to tell you where I'm sitting with my new neighbors.
Yeah, I keep waiting to find out if I have a new address to drive to.
Well, it's not 100% sure, but I think I'm staying here for now.
Yay.
What it turned out happened was, so you know how big my place is.
Yes.
Now, at a T angle to this is another place as big as this that the guy moved out, and instead of renting to just another renter, they rented it out to something called Cocoon House, which takes care of at-risk teens or homeless teens. I'm not immune to the plight of young kids.
Sure.
But it seemed that perhaps what had moved in next to me were 3 or 4 unsupervised teenagers, and they were very loud, and they were doing some uncomfortable things. In fact, one of them ran past my window here, and you realize that I live on top of the roof, basically, which meant they were just running on the roof for whatever reason. And when I
Yeah, like on tar paper, not like it's not like a roof you're supposed to be
You've
on.
got
No,
a
it's
garden
not-
space out
It's
there.
not like a roof deck. It is an actual roof. And when I challenged them as to what was going on, they seemed like they were having a good time, but the girl then told me she was running from her abusive boyfriend.
Oh my God.
And I thought, okay, I've had about enough of this. So I called up the property manager and told her what was going on. She was horrified and very apologetic, and they got those kids out. They put some new lovely people in here. Very loud. The young woman was very, very loud, and her boyfriend Stan, or as she liked to call him, fucking Stan, or fuck you Stan, or get out of my fucking house Stan.
Wow. Sure. Man, her and Stan don't sound like they have a stable foundation.
No,
You know?
and she clearly had some anger issues. She was screaming a lot of the time.
Oh my
She had
God.
3 very favorite catchphrases. One of them is, "Where's my fucking phone charger?" Sometimes followed by Stan. "Where's my fucking phone?"
Yeah.
And the
Jeez.
third one, which I heard most of the time, was, "I'm about to lose my shit."
Well, about.
At
Wow. You should have just left outside her door, like just a phone charger.
well,
Here, let's
the
stop hearing about
culmination
it.
of this one was at about 1:45 a.m. a couple nights ago. I heard, "I'm about to lose my fucking shit." And when I say I heard, I mean I woke to.
Oh my God.
And I then opened my window, which faces her window, and I said, "Hey, I know you probably have never lived in an apartment before, but other people live in here. I get up really early. You can't do this anymore." And she was very, very apologetic.
Oh.
Nice.
And then after that, she was gone. So my assumption is they have 3 or 4 kids living in there, and maybe the other kids even said, "Hey, we can't have this person in here. This is very disruptive,
Yeah.
and she's going to ruin on this for all of
Poor
us."
Stan. He's probably like just, some kid.
Yeah, he's some kid. I got a good look at Stan.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy to see him gone. I'd like to see all these people gone because I don't like parking my BMW right in front of this place that has become homeless central, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And anyone who wants to just take out whatever grievance they have on the old guy who's living here has access to my car. So I'm not loving that. But it does seem to have calmed down a bit with the removal of that lady. And I do hear a couple of guys talking when I'm in front of the building because they've got their windows open there. But the other windows that face the alley, or not the alley, but the roof, seem to have been made off limits to them.
I would think,
great.
too, it'd be great if I'm sure there are plenty of people in those situations that want a chance change their life and move forward
Sure.
and want to take responsibility.
And are so happy for like a dry place with electricity.
Let's work towards Cocoon House, work towards getting people that are really moving forward.
Yeah. Well,
Help 'em.
and hopefully that's what's going on. That did not seem to be what was going on earlier when, my sister came to pick me up for a family thing, and she was just like horrified. She called me and she's like, I'm not coming up to your place. What's going on? And I'm like, what do you mean what's going on? And there were just a bunch of very homeless looking people milling about outside the building.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, okay, well, this has turned into kind of the new homeless shelter, I guess. And that's uncomfortable, especially for the other tenants of the building. The downstairs people who think my name is Casey. They're nurses at the hospital.
Oh, my God.
The gal who lives right up here next to me on this other side is just a young, 20-something girl. And I'm like, oh, this place is a little shady anyway. But when you've got to walk through a bunch of very loud homeless men to get to your apartment now, I feel uncomfortable for her. So
it is really unfortunate. And it's like, you want these kinds of programs to succeed, but at the end of the day, it's probably a very selfish reason that that's happened, because they're probably getting some tax write-off to turn it into a cocoon house.
The people that own the house.
Yeah, that own the building, or,
I know exactly
landlords
that's what happened here. And they had big plans, to change that downstairs area into all sorts of retail space and all that stuff. And then, of course, all of the pandemic stuff stopped anything from happening. But then deciding that you were going to rent out to this kind of kills any retail from wanting to get down there now. And so instead of the whole idea of maybe revitalizing this part of Everett, this owner has kind of become responsible for turning it into a much darker part of Everett.
Let's hope that phases.
My only concern for you is that, like, what if it's a rotating set of teams?
It is a rotating.
So you're probably going to get more.
You understand my
horrible
discomfort.
ones. Yeah. Like, I mean, like this week it's fine, but then next week, God knows, you've only had one good week out of this so far.
Thank you for seeing me, Vanessa.
I'm just
I've been trying to
for
explain
you.
this to the property manager. And
I'll write a letter.
thank you. So, and like I said, I'm not against helping out kids, and I understand family life can be tough, and everybody needs a break and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But there also comes a limit as to what I'm comfortable with, and I think I told you I've got this weird door that connects my unit with that unit over there, and it's been locked. It's been all sorts of precautions have been taken so that door could never be opened between the two units. It's just the way this old building was set up.
But it still looks like a door.
Yes, and it has a doorknob on it. And I first lost my shit when at about 10:30 at night, I was like, what is that noise I'm hearing? Oh, it was that door handle being tried.
Oh, God.
So they got to then hear, Vanessa, you've never been on the receiving end of this. I don't think I ever have either. But,
you're always so chill.
But I can be a bit of an asshole. And I have a big booming voice from performing on stage for a while. And I was not afraid to use it when I said, "Get the fuck away from that door, you little shit. I'm calling the cops right now." And then I just heard the patter of a bunch of feet running away from the door, like, whoa, and I'm sure they didn't know where that door led. They were just curious. But
Yeah.
I hope that somebody has put a sign above it now that says, "A troll lives in this cave. Do not poke the bear."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's hard. I mean, like, my mom has had various friends of ours who have been in trouble at times move in for like over a year. So, like, I get it. These things happen, but it's just, it's not a good situation. They shouldn't be unsupervised. That's the hard part.
That was my thing. And, I also don't want it to be something where it's like they can't have visitors or friends over or something like that. I just want there to be some kind of, somebody has to be responsible for what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because if, you've got access to my apartment from the roof, basically.
Yeah.
So if you've got access to the roof and then access to my apartment, and where I challenged the people who are on the roof, was in that hallway where they had climbed through the window to get
Oh
into
my
the hallway.
God.
So you can understand my feelings
Nervous.
on this situation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, your news is very exciting, but I got a haircut.
Hey, nobody likes a one-upper.
I'm just saying, it was like the other day. It feels very good. So good. But we did have I had a conversation with my hairdresser as to, okay, so when we do this cut, it's not my favorite cut, but if something happens and we lock down again, what are you going to be happy to live with? Do you have to sit through your bangs growing out again? Or should we let them keep going? So I wasn't super thrilled about some of it, but overall, it's so much better.
I think it looks very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I didn't put any product in it today, but it's shaved. It's shaved and I'm not hot and I don't feel like I have a mullet. Oh, so much better. I've been just putting bobby pins in my hair for like months now just to keep it out of my face. My hairdresser saw me and she's like, I've never seen your hair this long ever. I was like, yeah. My mom is like, oh, you have cute long hair. Don't cut it. This is not good. Squash this now.
See, now I'm on the other side. I'm going, man, maybe I'll just let my hair grow because I used to have really long hair.
Sure. I think
Every
I've seen
once in a
photos
while, I
of this.
miss that. Yeah, but then it's like, oh, maybe not.
It's a good length as to what it is now. It's like not short.
Yeah, I had it cut a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So.
I like the gray that's coming in on the sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Very
looks
nice.
When they
very
get
good.
that
You got a little
Richard
there going. Yeah, I like it.
You should see my father-in-law, Mark. He's not cutting his hair till December.
Oh man.
He is pretty much in almost ponytail land already.
Oh.
It's awesome.
Oh my God. I don't know how you handle it. I can't. I mean, I had long hair all my life until I was 30. So and then I was like, no more. No, just take it. Just take it. I don't want to see it again. I'm done with it. So
My hair continues to get higher, but I keep it.
Yeah.
it is
closer
pretty
on
high.
the sides, and so I'm cultivating a Brian Setzer look, I think.
Nice.
Sure.
See if you can eventually work up to a flock of seagulls.
There we go. There we go. I'll have to break out the hairnet. It's been, or not the hairnet, but the
Aquanet.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been a long time since I've had to use Aquanet. Hey guys, I watched a brand new movie that I'm not sure how I felt about it. It was called Ghosts of War. Have you heard anything about it?
No, not at all. Is this like a streaming?
so.
It's available for rent,
Okay.
and it's World War II horror, which you know is my
yeah.
jam. And it stars
Oh.
Brenton Thwait, who, Eric, you might know as Nightwing from Titans.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The guy who plays
he's
Hawk
good.
from Titans is also in this.
Oh, really? I
And
like him
then
too.
one of the other soldiers is, I recognized him from Sons of Anarchy and Luke Cage. So it's full of
damn.
a young cast of familiar faces.
Mm.
Really good acting. It's about a group of American soldiers who have been ordered to make camp at this French mansion that they have to kind of like take care of, and all this weird supernatural stuff starts happening, and they kind of realize, oh shit, everybody who was killed here by the Nazis, the family that owned this place, now all of that horrible stuff is being replayed and then perhaps perpetrated upon our soldiers. And that would have been enough for me.
Yeah.
They build in a twist towards the end that doesn't quite work, and then they build in a... Vanessa, are you familiar with the term negation of the negation? As far as film going? It's when you have a very ugly...
You know it, even if you don't know the term.
when you have a very ugly ending, and then the very ending turns it even worse.
Oh.
It's like Chinatown is the very famous example of this, when you find out that, oh my God, she's been sexually abused by her father.
Yeah.
But the negation of the negation is that she's in love with him, is what you realize at the end. And it's just like, oh God.
Enough.
Mm-hmm.
And a bad example of that you see in horror movies all the time.
Yeah.
Where the killer's dead. Oh no, it's not.
Right. Oh, I see.
weak
Yeah,
version
like
of that.
the hand
That's a
comes up.
version.
Got it. Eyes
So
open.
this has a a actual twist as we get into the third act that you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And then there is another twist that makes it much darker, that you're kind of like, oh, I like where this is going. And then a negation of the negation of the negation at the very end, where you're like, it's too much, guys. It's too much. You had me, you lost me, you had me again, and then you lost me forever.
Sort of like my reaction to The Mist.
Oh, fuck. That's so dark.
It's like, okay, enough. Oh, look, everything would have been. Oh, fuck you.
What sound doesn't carry in The Mist? You couldn't hear all those troops coming.
They're like 20 feet away.
Right. Ghosts of War. Some people, I think, will like it a lot, and there is a lot to like in it.
You say standard rental?
Yeah.
Like,
Amazon.
Apple.
Amazon rental.
Shit.
Yeah, $3.99.
Cool. How about you, Vanessa?
So I finally, I kind of had it in the back of my mind. I wanted to check this movie out and like never really got around to it. I think it was probably near COVID-ish times that it was in theaters.
So it wasn't in theaters?
It was in theaters. It was.
Oh, okay.
And I definitely missed it. The documentary Apollo 11.
I've heard really, really good stuff about this.
I was actually angry at myself for not seeing it in theaters because I think the scale would have been really cool, but the footage is phenomenal. Yeah, you really feel like you get a different angle and viewpoint of everything that led up to and the actual experience of the moon landing. They take a lot of like cutting room floor footage where obviously like newsreels and stuff, we're not going to show like people watching what's on TV while also waiting for news from the moon, and like just little details that really humanize the entire experience.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really neat. They have some amazing angles. And I think because of, you guys know, like the fact that they were landing on the moon, they stuck so many cameras onto the side of that thing.
Sure.
So you get some really cool cleaned up footage and colored in footage. So it just feels very tactile and beautiful. And there's no real story outside of what we know. They go to the moon and come back.
No twist ending.
No twist ending.
Nazis were found on the other side of the moon.
It was funny because then I Googled immediately, like I was watching it with my mom and she was like, has anyone else ever landed on the moon? And I was like, I think so. I'm sure other people have. And I looked it up and we have, but it's all Americans. No other. I thought
China was setting up to try and do that.
They might try to, but that no one's done it yet, which I was surprised about.
So they just launched a Mars destination thing with
China
as well.
did?
Yeah, not manned.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely it's very worthy. It's a very cool documentary, and for anyone who does not believe the moon landing was real, the number of employees alone that were dealing with this really probably is going to put you to shame.
I think I saw a report the other day on conspiracy theories, and if over 40,000 people would have had to be kept secret for the moon landing to have been kept a secret.
Yes. That's a lot. Like that's just like when people say like, oh, 9/11 was an inside job. Like how many people would have had to have been quiet about that? Just like the scale who knew and nobody slips up. Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Just seems a little unreal. I'm getting a look.
No, you reminded me. I was listening to an old interview with Ed Asner, and he believes the 9/11
Oh, good Lord.
stuff was all a setup. In fact, the soundbite that I took away from that I love so much, he was like, there were no Jews in the towers that day.
Holy shit!
What?
Yeah.
What?
They'd been notified.
What?
I'm like, oh man.
First of all, I am 100% sure that's not true. And second of all, that's some weird shit.
No, of course that's not true.
Yeah, it's New York.
But I did love that it was Ed Asner saying this. I'm like, oh, Ed, you've suddenly become, relevant to me again. I didn't realize you were insane. You are way more interesting than I thought.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, after all of that, mine's a real letdown here. On Shudder, I watched Yummy.
Oh, I haven't logged into Shudder in a little bit, so tell me more.
That's a 2019 film. I'm tempted to read at least some of the description that was on IMDb, so I think I shall. Yummy is an orgy of blood, violence, and fun with a young couple travel to shabby Eastern European hospital for plastic surgery.
Ooh.
The young woman wants a breast reduction. Her mother is coming along for yet another facelift.
Breast reduction? She must be the bad guy in the movie.
No, but you watch the movie and go, maybe it's not a bad idea for you, lady.
No. Ridiculous. She sounds evil to me.
I watched the whole thing, but it's okay. It's sort of a zombie movie, sort of a...
Okay, yeah, I saw the previews for this.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't.
Yeah, you're fine. I mean, it was watchable to where I watched the whole thing.
Is it funny?
At times.
Okay.
And that's its saving grace.
Because the title kind of makes you think this must be a comedy.
Yeah. I think if you watch this with 5 or 6 of the right people, it'd be very entertaining. But just watching it in general is kind of like,
Oh,
it's
no.
not, it doesn't go far enough in being crazy, especially when you're talking about messed up surgical practices going on, which is sort of what it sets up as being, is like these are people that are doing horrible things with their surgery, but then it just sort of devolves into well, actually, we just gave this one person this virus or something, and now everybody's becoming zombies. Like, oh, shit, that could have been really interesting.
Oh, sure.
It just turns out to be a fun watch.
You liked it better than Hamilton, I'm guessing?
No. You keep thinking I hated Hamilton. I didn't hate Hamilton.
Yeah, I think he just wasn't as impressed with it.
No, I mean...
I still haven't managed to get to it yet.
I listened to that last episode, and I was like, man, he really fucking hated that show. That's what I got out of it.
Maybe I'll have to go back and have a listen and get the truth.
Sometimes we bring our own things to what we hear and watch.
I did another rental, and this time I was very happy with it. It's called Volition, and it is a kind of dark sci-fi, little bit of a time slip, and a little bit of a guy who has he has parapsychological powers, and he gets flashes of the future, and he's seen his death, and he's trying desperately to stop that from happening.
Wow.
And everything he does seems to kind of push him closer to that thing happening, and so it's played very straight. So there's a desperation in it. He starts off as a diamond mule for a low time criminal, almost a mob boss or a mob boss wannabe, who he owes just a lot of money to. And the guy says, "Look, we'll square up our debt if you get these diamonds to where I want them to go." And the first time he touches the diamonds, he sees this thing being a success. But then the next time, and he can't control when he gets these visions or anything. The next time he sees himself dead, and he realizes that, oh, I successfully did this thing, but because of it, I'm going to end up dead. And so now he's stuck in this situation where he is trying to desperately make sure he does not die. Kind of noirish and supernatural. It was just very, very good, I thought. One of those ones that you got to pay a lot of attention to because things are changing constantly.
Remind us of the title.
Volition.
Cool.
That's good. And you said it was a general rental as well?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
That's cool.
I think that then after renting it, I went, onto IMDb to look at it, and it said that it was coming to Shudder next month, and I was like, God damn it! But I was not disappointed. I mean, certainly worth $2.99. So,
which is the standard rental price, it seems, at this point.
It just depends on whether it's a studio film. This is a small budget indie sci-fi.
Small budget, $2.99. Medium budget, $6 to $8. Big budget,
$15.99. So,
Priceless. Yeah, I have noticed, I don't know if you guys have seen this as well, but on Amazon, they've got the new IMDb channel.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of new content that's free, but it all has ads
Yeah,
throughout a lot of ads.
Unlike Tubi, who has ads, but Tubi ads they're tolerable. There's some of them, but man, IMDb is like, come on.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching extra.
It's like a lot of
sporting event or something. Like, oh.
Right. It is much more frequent. That's how I ended up watching last week's pick of The Crush. Was on that service. And even though it's on Shout, I just didn't end up ordering it in time. So, which I'm glad I didn't.
I was going to say,
actually, that was a near miss. But anyway, so the commercial interruptions were very weird. It was like, how many, and they don't tell you how many ads it's going to be. And I think some of those other ones do. I don't know if Vudu or Tubi do, but some of them are like 3 ads, 2 ads, 1 ad.
Generally, if you pause, there'll be those dots.
My least favorite, though, is 3 ads, and then after the first ad, the second ad is that ad again, and you're like,
I know.
No, I get to sit through 3 of these.
And then
no one else paid for it that week.
4 complete commercial breaks of 3 ads, and they're all the same.
I've definitely encountered that. But usually the film was very bad, so it was okay.
Oh, great. It's a commercial break. I like this commercial.
I can get up and do things. I'll stretch. I'll go get whatever.
There's something kind of nice about having that taken away from you. You know, you could always watch a movie, just pause and do something. But when they basically say, oh, here comes your advertisement, you're like, oh, shit. All right, time to go get something to drink.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't actually managed to watch much else this week, but I will say that so I've been forced to watch a lot of terrible reality TV stuff with my mom across the time in which I've stayed with her.
My mom forces me to write this stuff, and I stay in the room.
I do that. That is true. But it's mostly because I want to spend time with her. So we were watching America's Got Talent, and we got to the point where COVID hits, and they start doing it by like the camera, the Zoom recordings. And it's really funny because, oh my God, it's just fascinating to see how all these different shows are trying to compensate for like no audience. So like the first America's Got Talent where there's no audience, like the judges are all just like laughing and they just use them a lot. And it gets really irritating because you're like, it's not that funny, because usually you get the whole audience. And then they brought in the crew and put them in that same room and then had crew reactions. Like the live mixers are like, like a little chuckle here and there. I was like, I guess this is slightly better.
Just go with what baseball's doing and pipe in fake crowd noise.
I know, fake people. Oh my gosh. Crowd grower number 65.
Nothing better
attending every game.
Nothing better than seeing somebody, you know, doing their talent and not hearing anything, but having one person then, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's really hard to know how they're going to go, because usually with the audience, especially this year, I've never felt so much like the judges were like, whatever the audience wants, that's what we'll do, because we want to be liked celebrities.
Oh, boy.
And so like Simon Cowell's extremely nice. And a bunch of people get through who are really crap at what they do, but the audience just happen to like enjoy it for some reason. So it is really weird because you're like, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if you guys are going to like or not like this. And there's going to be no rhyme or reason to it. So
weird.
Yeah. So it's been fascinating watching this like weird shift in television as people try to scramble to figure out their content.
Pandemic's Got Talent.
No way.
Brought to you by Zoom. What happened to Dunkin' Donuts? Not enough Dunkin' Donuts money. Not enough people going into that Dunkin'.
Sure, why not? Well, I figured out, with HBO Go playing all the DC stuff that I hadn't watched. I had not watched Doom Patrol past them getting out of the donkey. That's how little of season 1 I'd watched.
Oh, wow.
Which is like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think that is.
I haven't seen any of it.
It's really good. Mm-hmm. So I watched the whole thing and caught back up over the last few weeks. And, well, I'm into season 2 now. And I think I mentioned this to you earlier. They're really leaning into the Doom part of Doom Patrol on this, where they're getting really serious and heavy and dramatic. And I'm watching this going, I like a superhero show with a lot of side, like Watchmen was full of incredible, wonderful drama along with superhuman elements. Doom Patrol seems to have like no superhuman elements. Like, maybe you guys should find like somebody to fight. Maybe one of you guys go, hey, this is a cool power. Maybe I'll go out and I'll just stop a mugging or something. Just do something. But it's still really well written and well acted. I'm just like, man, is this going to be like Buffy after the singing episode where everything is down dark for the whole season? It's only like 7 episodes, I think, for season 2. It's really short. But
Gloom Patrol, more like, am I right?
There you
right
go.
there. And that was some low-hanging fruit.
There you go. Brilliant. The problem I had with that first season was the budget was obviously very small.
Yeah.
And the effects looked really shitty. And mentally, I was like, look, the answer to this is stop with these effect shots and make it more of dialogue driven. But it sounds like that's what they've done, and you're not loving that.
But the problem was, though, for the first episode, they didn't, because they were all so miniaturized. So, like, all of them except for the one guy, I forgot his name, the bandages, is living in the train set.
Oh.
It's kind of cool, and I sort of wish they leaned into it a little longer. It's only 1 episode that they're small. But they're just all so life is suck and everything is horrible. It's like, okay.
Well, the comic,
I get it.
The era that they're adapting was pretty talky.
Yeah.
And not a lot of fighty.
True.
So. It's interesting how some of these shows try to balance things, and it can get a little bit fatiguing. I found that with Runaways, it's really fascinating because the first season, the parents are all like evil. And I was like, oh, aren't you guys supposed to die immediately? Like in the comic? No. Okay. Interesting. In season 2, they like really humanize the parents and they spend a lot of time with them. And then season 3, all the parents are inhabited by aliens. So their personalities all wildly shift. And you're like, oh, you guys just don't want to do any new casting? So we're just going to see all these people over and over and over again in slightly new lights?
Are you talking about Runaway stuff?
Yeah.
Season 3?
Yeah.
I didn't realize they got a third
They just
season.
dropped it. Yeah.
Oh.
Or I think they just dropped it. I noticed it and was like, oh, I did not see this one.
I thought, well, I didn't watch season 2, and I thought that it got canceled after that.
Yeah.
No.
I made it 2 or 3 episodes into season 1 where I'm going, this is...
There were moments. It gets better after the 3rd episode. Yeah, but
there's definitely some good stuff in there, and it's really fun to watch James Marsters, again, do anything.
Yeah, as usual.
So,
yeah, true.
But there's things in it I really like, but there's plenty that I'm like, I'm a little tired of. I don't know why the parents are still alive. This is really annoying. I'm like, in the comics, they die so quickly. Like, why are we? Oh, okay, it's fine. It's fine. They just got too many talented actors, and they're like, don't worry, guys, we're not going to fire you. It's fine. And then they kept that promise.
Well, I imagine you get somebody like James Marsters, and you're like, are we going to kill off our most famous actor? Or?
Well, and all the parents are really good actors. Okay. Like they got a really good group going on. So,
should we take a little break, guys, and come back? We're going to be discussing films that were based on a true story,
dun, dun, dun.
supposedly.
Smoke true, you get all the flavor and the filter too. Ain't it the truth?
When you smoke true, you get all the flavor and the filter too.
True filter cigarettes. All the flavor you need to say, man, this is a good tasting cigarette. This is the best-selling, best-tasting cigarette of its kind. 12.5 milligrams tar, 0.7 milligrams nicotine, air filtration system, built-in mouthpiece. And you get a choice. True comes with or without menthol. Any way you like it, there's no doubt about it. True gives you everything you want in a cigarette.
Ain't it true? When you smoke true, you get all the flavor and the filter too.
True filter cigarettes.
guys, this was my subgenre pick. I picked based on a true story, and I wanted it to be as kind of open-ended as it could be. So even if it was a horror film that just said based on a true story, I was totally fine with that. With that in mind, I chose a little documentary called Bloodsport.
For centuries, the Society of the Black Dragon has sanctioned an ancient rite of combat known as the Kumite, open only to the world's most lethal warriors. It has never been won by a Westerner.
You are not Japanese. I can do it.
Now, for the first time, the true story of American super agent Frank Dukes can be revealed.
Uncle Sam can't afford to let you get hurt. I'm going to Hong Kong. Frank is going to fight in the Kumite, and we're here to stop him.
An awesome human weapon.
It hurts me just looking at it.
Who infiltrates the Chinese underworld.
I did not come this far to stop now. Take it.
To enter a forbidden competition.
Couldn't you just get me in?
Strict rules, no press.
You telling me you never break rules?
Where every fighting style, every worthy opponent, every deadly technique clash in savage combat.
Time to separate the men from the boys.
And only one will triumph.
Now I break you.
International martial arts sensation Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Bloodsport. The true story of the ultimate champion.
I just don't know how you're getting away with this.
From 1988. It had a budget of $1.1 million.
Wow, they did a lot with
worldwide gross of $50 million.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's a success.
I saw this one in the theater.
Yeah,
Whoa.
me too. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have it at 40%. The audience has it at 74%.
There you go.
They're much closer.
It was directed by Newton Arnold.
What a terrible name.
Oh my God.
Does he have a pocket protector? Does it leak?
He is mostly known as an assistant director, 60 credits as an assistant director, including such low-budget films as Godfather 2, Towering Inferno,
Inferno. The spinoff.
Sorcerer, Blade Runner,
Whoa.
The Abyss.
Jesus, dude.
It was written by Shelton Lettich, who wrote Rambo 3, and then apparently got in good with Van Damme because he then wrote Double Impact, Lionheart, and a couple other Van Damme movies.
Geez.
And Mel Friedman, who is mostly known as an editor on films such as Poltergeist, Jim Cotta, and 25 episodes of Breaking Bad.
Jim Cotta's pretty good.
It stars Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Hey, the muscles from Brussels.
Mm-hmm. Donald Gibb, who you will mostly know as the big guy in Revenge of the Nerds who goes, "Nerds!"
Forgot he was in that, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
And then Leah Ayers, who is almost exclusively a television actress, and her final credit was in 1998. So I didn't do any research. I hope she's okay, but no reason why she couldn't have continued acting. She is a very attractive and fine actor. But 98, she hung it up.
Sure.
Bloodsport.
What about the guy from Enter the Dragon?
Oh, Bolo?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to just list off everybody in this movie. Bolo, who plays the main villain in that, 50 years old in this movie.
Whoa!
Mm-hmm. Bloodsport tells the true story of Frank Dukes, who was trained as a child by a Japanese karate master, and when we meet him, has been invited to compete in the annual Kumite, which is a super secret underground mixed martial arts competition in Hong Kong, where only the best of the best are allowed.
Sure.
There, he makes friends with Jackson, a very loud American brawler, and has sex with Janice, a reporter trying to get a scoop on this secret fight.
Wait, is this the movie or the real guy?
This This is based on the life story of Frank Dukes.
Okay, sorry.
Right. Put up your dukes.
I was trying to follow where we're at.
Through it all, he is being pursued by 2 plainclothes military police officers.
This is a lot of very specific information.
They are played by Norman Burton and Forrest Whitaker, believe it or not.
Oh, that's right.
Who are trying to stop him from competing in this and getting hurt because he is a valuable asset to the U.S. military. He may also be CIA in some regards. He's a Marine, we know that, and he is an officer, and they don't want their officer getting hurt in this super secret kumite. He goes on to compete his way to the top of this and defeat the reigning champion. That's this movie. And that's this guy's life.
Verbatim.
At the end of this movie, we are given some stats on Frank Dukes and the kumite. He fought 329 matches from 1975 to 1980 and retired undefeated as the world heavyweight full contact kumite champion.
Ooh.
He has 4 kumite world records. Fastest knockout, 3.2 seconds. Fastest punch with knockout, 0.42 seconds. Fastest kick with knockout. They don't tell you how in seconds. They do tell you the miles per hour of the kick. Anyone want to guess?
Ooh. 200.
Don't be ridiculous, Vanessa. Eric, you got a better guess?
120.
Jesus. 72 miles an hour. You're making 72 miles an hour on a leg seem like not a very big accomplishment.
My first thought was 80, and then I was like, that's not going to be impressive enough. I should go up.
Wow. You expect a lot out of a man.
I don't know, man. Like a leg swack versus a car. I was trying to work it out.
Okay. He also
I just made a bullshit guess.
He has the most consecutive knockouts in a single tournament, which is 56. Whoa. And as Eric knows, he also went on to found his own fighting style, Ninjitsu Dukes Ryu, which was here in Seattle, I believe.
Yeah.
I was
Up in
say, he's local?
International Highway or something in the SeaTac area or something like that for a while at least.
So that's it. I mean, based on a true story.
And
okay, Vanessa, what you doing?
Yeah.
Well, I did a little research on this, guys.
Oh.
Contrary to his claims, Frank Dukes' military records show he never served overseas, never received the Medal of Honor or any other award.
Oh, my.
And in 1978 was referred for psychiatric evaluation after he expressed, in quotes, flighty and disconnected ideas.
Oh, no.
Dukes claims the military sabotaged his service record to discredit him.
Sure.
Okay.
In one photo of Frank Dukes that is very popular on the internet, he is wearing his ribbons in an incorrect order, and the Medal of Honor is not the type that would be presented to a Marine.
Ooh.
After defending that picture many times, he then later explained that was just a Halloween costume he was wearing.
Oh, no. He crumbled.
Martial arts experts have expressed doubts that a kumite tournament of this size could ever even exist without everybody knowing about it. There is no evidence of such a thing. When pressed, Dukes showed an invoice for the kumite, but when investigated, Dukes turned out to be the point of contact for the invoice.
Oh, my God.
Trophy he claims to have won was actually proven to be purchased by him at a trophy store.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Dude.
The karate teacher that he had as a young child has turned out to be a dead end. Nobody has been able to find any information on this supposed person. And his CIA connections have all denied working with or even knowing him.
I mean, that's very CIA.
That's what they have to say, right?
Yeah. What a great cover-up story. Just go full military in a way that would be hard and overseas.
Yeah.
Let me
no one
just
will ever know the truth.
This last bit I found. This is my favorite bit, if you can believe it or not, out of all that great stuff. Okay. Writing in the book Actions Speak Louder, Eric Lichtenfield said that when his exploits are questioned, Dukes counters by actually exploiting his lack of substantiating evidence and spinning it into even wilder stories. Duke says the reason he no longer has the sword he was presented with at the Kumite is because he sold it in a failed attempt to buy the freedom of a boat of orphans whom he later rescued from pirates, and that he stopped a plot to assassinate Steven Seagal.
Ooh.
And that discrepancies in his martial arts history are the work of fabrications by his rivals, including ninjutsu master Stephen K. Hayes, who you will recognize from comic book advertisements from the 70s and 80s.
Oh my God. That is so beautiful.
Holy shit.
It sounds like he is, well, maybe confused is a good way to put it.
It's just so purposeful, though.
He clearly has some kind of martial arts training.
Right.
Because there's video of him doing things.
Yeah.
But Eric, you then surprised me and said that he had showed up at Crypticon a couple years back. Yeah. I missed this completely.
I think it was I don't think he was a guest or anything, but it was one of the first times we were in the SeaTac area.
Okay.
And
he just showed up
just
and then let everyone know he was Frank Dukes.
Yeah. Yep. So unfortunately, I never saw him, so I can't verify. I've been sworn to secret. I mean, but I do remember that flying through the Crypticon staff and stuff as a rumor. Man, you're that guy from Bloodsport's here? I'm like, what? I mean, we had Phoenix Jones show up randomly, so you never know. Oh, yeah. True. He showed up a couple years. First year was sort of random, but he was so popular. Mm-hmm. We got, hey, come back whenever you want to, man.
It must have been before my Crypticon time.
It was at SeaTac.
Oh.
I was also at SeaTac.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, that was a big enough area.
Yeah.
That, he could have been wandered in, because we had those two different halls that were so far and separate. So you could have been wandering in one while you were in another doing a panel or something. You would have never known,
One of my favorite scenes in this movie is, there's a lot to love in this movie. Jean-Claude's ass is a thing to behold. I mean,
bouncing quarters.
That guy's got a great ass. And he does the splits, on a couple of chairs.
Absolutely.
This is the first time I'd ever even heard of this guy. Right. And I walked out of the theater and I was like, this is my new favorite actor. Yeah. And, but one of my favorite scenes is, this is clearly shot on location in Hong Kong. And there is a scene where the agents are chasing him through the streets, and they have to cross a very crowded street and avoid a streetcar and all this stuff. But they end up jumping across the junks in Hong Kong Harbor.
Yeah.
Hong Kong Harbor is quite possibly the filthiest body of water on the planet.
Oh my God.
Nobody would swim, fish, or do anything from here. And in one scene, Forrest Whitaker and the Norman, I can't remember his name, the two cops who are chasing him, they get on a very wobbly little rowboat and then fall over into the harbor, and then they come up and spit water out of their mouth. And I watched that and just about shit my pants. I was like, the insurance on this film had to have been gigantic for them to risk a shot like this. Even contact with Hong Kong Harbor is got to be the grossest, most dangerous thing you can do to your body.
Oh my God.
Putting that water in your mouth or in your eyes.
And they didn't just do a close up in a different body of water or something?
Well, I don't know. They could have, but I don't know why they would have started being safe at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything else is based on so much truth that had to be done accurately.
There were a lot of injuries and fight injuries in this because Van Damme wouldn't measure the kick correctly or something and would actually connect with somebody's head and shit like that.
Yeah, he was pretty new to movies for this film. He hadn't really become.
He was just a handsome martial artist, and somebody said, "Hey, I'm backing this guy. I think he can be something." I mean, he could barely speak intelligently. You're really struggling to understand with his accent. This had to be, let's see, what year was this?
I think he said 88.
88. Okay, so this is after he's been kicked out of Predator because he was originally the Predator monster in Predator, and then complained that he couldn't breathe in the costume. They got.
Oh no!
Was it Kevin Peter Hall? I think.
Sounds right, but I don't
Wow. I did not know this.
So he was, they were trying him out in like stunt positions and shit like that. And he had a dream, I guess, and shit.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done some shit films, but you ever see JCVD?
Yeah.
I thought that was a lot of fun. That was really an interesting film to watch.
I thought that was a shit film, which is not to say that I didn't enjoy it.
Right, exactly.
When you say he's done some shit films, all I can say is yes. Every single one is a shit film.
He did bring, although it didn't really work out for well to John Woo, he did bring John Woo to the U.S. for Hard Target.
Oh, right.
But John Woo's never really that great here in the U.S. His films are all kind of good.
Yeah. Do you remember the one where Van Damme plays twins?
Double
Impact.
Double Impact.
And the tagline, twice the Van Damage.
That's right.
Yes, that's so good.
That god-awful, like, yellow and green video cover. It was just really
I don't know.
Bad.
Everything about these movies are awful and 100% entertaining.
True.
Van Damme you all to hell.
Put up your dukes.
I don't know if you guys know the sports guy, Dave Damashek. But he talks about his kids and always refers to them as the little Van Damasheks. Which I think is hilarious. So I very highly recommend this film, but not for its true to life telling.
Amazing. Well, I'll go ahead and jump on in with a film that is so on the opposite end of everything from your own.
Are you saying it's Oscar-winning
Wait a second.
quality?
No. I just mean genre.
Oh, okay.
I just mean it's a horror film rather than a 80s action flick.
Sports movie.
Right, exactly, a sports film.
What are you talking about? This is adventure and action that falls into our category.
Oh, of course. No, it's in our categories. I'm just really going to go ahead and change gears.
You're leaning into the horror.
We're on the freeway going at 80 and we're just about to go into a 30 skid down. We're going into second here, people. So I chose the 2017 movie Veronica.
Necesito que te tranquilices y me describas lo que estás viendo. ¡Está aquí! ¿Sigues ahí? ¿Hola?
En las culturas primitivas se creía que lo que ocurría en el cielo era un reflejo de lo que ocurría en la tierra. Por eso se creía también que durante los eclipses la oscuridad reinaba por encima de la luz.
Cerrar los ojos. ¿Hay alguien aquí con nosotras? ¿Quieres hablar con alguna de nosotras? ¿Lo has movido tú?
Lo que habéis hecho aquí es muy peligroso.
Quiere hacernos daño.
¿Pero quién?
No lo sé.
Tú también notaste algo. Aquello de lo que no te despides se queda contigo.
Aquello de lo que no te despides se queda contigo. No mováis.
¿Pero si estoy yo sola?
No. No estás sola.
So you guys may or may not have heard of this. It was bumping around Netflix. I'd heard some really good things about it and just not managed to get to it. It's got a Rotten Tomatoes of 90% critics.
Wow.
So really good, but only 49% audience. But it is a foreign film. So
Gotta read them words.
Yeah, all the audience for Rotten Tomatoes just does not seem to enjoy foreign films. Yeah. I think that's a hard one for them.
You fall on the side of the critics in this, I'm guessing, with this reaction?
I do. I actually think that I think it's a pretty awesome film, and there's some really good things going for it. The budget's pretty low, actually. It's a 6.1 million, or actually, I'm sorry, I don't know what the budget was. The box office was 6.1 million. I think it was more of a festival hit and a specifically European release. And then Netflix probably picked it up for U.S. distribution rather than it doing a theater run. So I can't say that it made a ton of money, but the director/writer is Paco Plaza, who you guys will have remembered from Rec 2, Rec 3, and there's a random Christmas TV movie in there somewhere. So super awesome director, I think. So you've got somebody who definitely can handle a cast and a crazy amount of scenery moving and clashing together, which definitely is on its side. He had some writing help from a dude who, because it's a Spanish film, I don't know a lot about these different people involved. So I'm just going to be very vague. The writer seemed to do a lot of TV there. Thanks, Fernando Navarro. It stars really talented, beautiful girl, Sandra Escacina. This was her first film right out of acting school. She's since she has 8 credits. Most recently, a short film called The Same, also with Paco Plaza. So she's definitely an up-and-comer, and I think she's worth watching. There are a lot of other people in this. She has 3 younger siblings, haven't been in anything. They're all little kids. And then the mother has 53 credits, mostly a mix of TV and film. And the only thing I knew anything about was she was in The Other Boleyn Girl as Catherine of Aragon. So sure. Only point of reference. The plot is... It's going to sound real familiar here for a second, so excuse me while I... So there's this...
Whip your Ouija board out?
There's this Ouija board, right? So we start off with the girl who Sandra is playing, Veronica. She's living in this sort of chaotic household. So it's obviously like low income, high-rise building. She's got 3 younger siblings. She's getting them up, getting them ready. A lot of chaos, and her mom is just totally asleep, has a little packet of pills next to her, and I was like, what is up with this chick? Like, either she's a movie star, she's a drug addict, or God knows what. Turns out she's just super overworked, so spoiler alert. She just works nights.
Movie ruined.
Yeah, you find out very quickly. So it's really fallen on Veronica to basically help raise her siblings. And meanwhile, where's the dad in the picture? Dad seems to have died probably fairly recently, and that's caused a lot of stress on the family. So everyone's kind of at the end of their ropes, just doing the best that they can. Veronica definitely misses her dad. We know this because pretty much right away, there is an eclipse that's going to happen. This big, cool eclipse. All of her siblings, they all go to the same like private, I don't know if it's private school or not, but it's like a Catholic run school. And they're all going to go up on the rooftop and they're going to look through these, it's really cool, these old film negatives to use them as like glasses.
That's right. Yeah, that was cool.
It's super cool. Did you see this film?
Yes.
Yeah. Super neat kind of scene. And during that, she is going to go down below and use a Ouija board and use this eclipse power to try and communicate with or bring her father back somehow.
So let me backtrack a bit now.
Absolutely.
This is based on a
true story. Yeah, we're
just checking.
I'll explain that all after I get through this part. So it is set in, I believe it's 1991. Sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, 1991. So you do have, it's definitely a period piece. Like there's a lot of rotary telephone action, only a couple of, TV channels. They actually do a very good job of making it feel 1991. There's a lot of high-waisted, like, what are those jeans called?
Mom jeans?
They're mom jeans, but they're like, the wash is like, they're black jeans, but they have a lot of white speckles.
Acid wash.
Acid wash. Thank you. A lot of acid wash going on in here. I was in first grade for this film, okay? I don't have a lot of connection to the style, and in Catholic school, so I didn't get to pick my clothes. So while she's down there with two friends, she wants just her best friend to help her do this situation, but her best friend seems to have like tagged in another girl, which really upsets her. So this other random, super flighty, like kind of blonde girl is down there joining them and like, oh, what are we doing? We're in the basement of the school and we're going to raise the dead. And apparently her boyfriend had died in some horrible motorcycle accident, but it really doesn't feel like it because she's super flighty. So she's going to try to communicate with them, and they're like, oh, do you bring some personal effect? And so the girl has a picture of her father with holding what I thought was a giant pizza, but later I do believe it is a pot of paella at an angle. So if anyone knows for sure, please let me know. Please write into the show.
Be pizza. Please let it be pizza.
I was hoping it's pizza, but it has a lot of fish on it. So I know, but it is Spain.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It could be so many things going on. During this, because it's during the eclipse, they do manage to awaken something. Of course, the Ouijaing goes terribly wrong. They're using like an upside down glass, and the glass is going all over the place, and it gets really hot, and the other two girls release their fingers from the glass, which they're using to hit all the different points. So it's just her holding the glass, Veronica trying to talk to her dad. It's zooming all over the place and weird stuff is happening. And I think the glass ends up breaking and it cuts her finger and she bleeds all over this board and then is kind of unconscious, but sort of in an odd state and is muttering all this stuff that we don't hear. But her best friend sort of leans over and is like, what's going on with you? And hears something and is shocked. So Veronica then wakes up in a nurse's office and is like, oh, what happened? Oh, okay. I guess I wasn't supposed to be in the basement. Sorry, guys. All right, bye. Goes back home and things start to get weird. She has brought something back with her. And I have to say, the effects for this film are really, I thought, very good. Really wonderful stuff. The creature that she has brought back with her, spoiler alert, not dad, is like this big, large, dark, gaunt thing that really feels like it should be out of Guillermo del Toro's films. Like it's creepy. Even when you see it closer, it's almost like it's made out of like tar or something. It doesn't feel CGI. It feels very physical, but it's just bizarre and strange. And there's a lot of really great visuals. There's a nun who is at her school who kind of gives a little bit of a hint as to what's going on. She sort of brings us full circle and says, yeah, something's with you. I can see it. And she's like, I'm blind for a reason. I can see things and I really didn't want to. So I did this to myself. And her blind look is so good. Like you really believe this. Like you can see part of her old eye, but it's really well done. I was like, man, this chick has been through something. This doesn't look like the freaking Nunnery Part 6 or whatever, Nun's Revenge. It looks like real. It looks good. We have 3 days that we're following this girl up until something happens. We began the film with like a 911 call and a bunch of chaos, police showing up at this apartment and someone saying he's trying to get in. So we're on this sort of countdown to get back to that moment. Things just get crazier and crazier for Veronica. She seems to keep seeing this demon and she wants to prevent it from like hurting her siblings. And the apartment is in such a way that it's like the corner unit of the complex. So she can look through a window and see through it to her apartment on the other side. So it kind of wraps around, which causes a lot of really cool moments where she looks across and sees things lighting up. There's this Simon Says game that keeps lighting up and so well used where it's like, oh my God, the Simon Says is going off in the kids' room and she has to run around the corner and get over there. And right when she gets there, she can see the shadow of this thing crawling across. And Just really neat stuff. She, of course, becomes very concerned, and the blind nun says, yeah, so you woke this thing up. It's not what you want. It's your job now to protect your siblings because you done fucked up and you need to fix this. So to fix it, it's very problematic because, for example, the Ouija board, which, by the way, is a as seen on TV package that she got, which is so good. Like when she first opens it up, it's in like a plastic wrap and she just kind of tears through it. And there's a giant sticker that's, you know, Spanish, but it's clearly as seen on TV. And she puts it all up and it's got like really silly looking Dungeons and Dragons style manuals with it. So that Ouija board that she used split in half at the end of her seance. So she has to kind of duct tape it together and she's like, okay, well, I obviously need the two people who are with me. Her friend has decided to kind of ghost her because of whatever it was she was whispering at the time and just the weirdness of the events. So she's trying to find her best friend, and her best friend's just totally like pieced out and is throwing a party, but didn't invite her. So she runs over to the party and she's like, I need you and I need other chick that you're replacing me with as the other cool new girl. And I'm very sad about this and my teenage years are hard. And I need you both to come and do this Ouija board with me. And they both are like, no, not happening. But the best friend does reveal, hey, yeah, so do you even remember what happened? And she's like, no, don't remember. Well, you whispered, I'm going to die on, in 3 days. Which I think is really crummy. Because if you're the best friend of somebody and they like tell you they're going to die in 3 days, that's the time to ghost them.
Well, cut your losses before it really hurts.
Yeah, I guess so. It's too painful to just go through it all. Sure. Yeah. So she decides to fill in the two girls with her siblings. Younger, adorable siblings. So she's got her two sisters, and then there's a little boy who's got like cross-eyed and big glasses, and she has him sit on the side. So it's still 3 people and 3 girls. And they try to basically raise this thing so they can say goodbye, because she never said goodbye to it. And that's why this thing is following her. It's not the eclipse or the huge amount of demonology or the blood everywhere. Nope. It's just that she didn't say goodbye. So they try to raise it back up and do, even though it's kind of been there the whole time. And they have to sing like a calming song to get it to go away. But the only song they all know is this like commercial that plays. So they sing this like fun commercial about this product over and over again as the demon's like running around, and like the girls are like losing track of the song. That she's like, no, concentrate on the commercial song. We have to get through this. So it's got some
loving it.
Really strong kind of fun moments in it. And of course, I won't say how it ends, but we do come back around to that 911 call. I really liked this film. I thought visually there was so much style to it. This is a love letter. This film really likes horror films. The director clearly is passionate about this stuff. He uses a lot of techniques that I've seen in other films, but used really well. Like there's some moments where she's walking forwards and everything around her is going backwards, and then she splits and starts to go backwards, but part of her is still going forwards, and like, but it looks really good and it's very creepy. There's a lot of like synthy music throughout, and at one point it becomes like 1960s horror film music, which is super fun. Like it's very, you just feel like there's all these little things here and there pinging to the genre of horror stuff. That was a terrible sentence. So sorry, guys. Sorry for that. I do like that it wrapped back around. And the characters were great. The siblings all feel super like siblings, like little kids. They're always playing games and like running around and doing stuff in the background. And I know I've said it before for other films, but I dig that so much. When you spend so much time on every character, not just the one who's speaking in that moment, like the kids are just always like playing and drawing on walls. And like at one point she asks her little brother to draw these like protection spells on the wall, and he like flips the page and accidentally draws on one of the walls like a raising demon symbol. but he's like 6, so you're like, but he's cute, it's fine. Don't worry about it. There's just a lot of really good little moments in it. The things I don't like, I feel like there's a twist at the end that is extraordinarily obvious, and I thought everyone knew the whole time. So that wasn't great. There is some very dramatic moments in it, like when she bursts into the party and tries to get her friends to help her out. It is just so much yelling. It becomes a very melodrama. There's moments with the mom that you're like, oh man, people are going to start slapping each other. In fact, at one point she does slap one of her sisters because she's like, where's the other kid? And her sister's not saying anything, so she just slaps her across the face. It's like, wow, guys, you got straight up into Spain. And I will say he does use Rec a little bit as a crutch. There are some kind of crossovers where, because we're starting with this 911 call and we're following this police through it, and it's almost like this police eye view. And then at the end, we actually end up on these kind of photos that are, which is cool. It's from the crime scene. I think it's from the actual crime scene pictures. But it just feels like there's a lot of Rec in there. And I wish he'd pulled a little bit further away from that. But I would say it's totally worth checking out. I think that it was really overlooked. As far as it just being based on a real thing, it's interesting. So the true event that this is apparently part of involved Estefanio Gutierrez Lazaro and her family in 1991. She was an 18-year-old who, after playing Ouija with two classmates, in like a few months later, paranormal activity started increasing, and then she died. Only one report was filed by the Spanish police, Policía Nacional, which details the supernatural events observed in Estefanio's house. So it sounds like the police report, they're really leaning into it being very strange, the stuff they saw when they arrived. Unfortunately, I don't have that here. Like, I don't know what the police report said, but I think it was something about like the shadows were creepy and there were things moving and unexplainable stuff. So, I think it does a good job with like a little piece of information. And of course, we all love somebody played Ouija and died. It's a really fun plot point. Who doesn't dig that? So.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't love this movie.
Really? Oh, interesting. What was it that you didn't dig about it?
Well, I thought there were some really cool scenes and shots.
Sure.
Probably the problem for me was I watched it opening day because it was like, this is the new film from the creator of Rec. And I don't know what I wanted, but this is not what I wanted.
It's very different. It feels very cinematic, but also kind of low budget.
I didn't mind that because, Rec feels cinematic and low budget. There was just something in this. I think it was the melodrama you talk about where I was like, I mean, I get it. These are high school girls and this probably has to be in here if we're to believe it.
Right.
But it was not the story I wanted.
It does undermine it. And I hate that her mother never believes her. It's very frustrating. There's like things where she's trying to ask for help or do things and everyone's like, ha ha ha, no, of course not. I'm going to be a stereotype. And that is really annoying. And one other thing that might have bugged you that I noticed, so while some of the music was really cool, some of it was really crappy and it was like weird Euro pop. And then it switched around feeling quickly and jarringly. So the music was all over the map. In fact, I put down like and dislike music for both because some of the music was super cool and it felt like it was kind of John Carpenter-y and it had this cool synth thing. And then some of it sounded like Euro versions of like the deep Eurovision version of David Bowie. And I guess like this was all, when I was looking it up behind the scenes info, there was a band that did pretty much all the music for this. So I think the band just kind of sucks. So, and
occasionally they hit on it, but most of the time it's kind of lame.
Yeah, definitely. And she has to like fall asleep to the music. She's always putting her headphones on before she falls asleep, and she puts on this flashlight and looks at the stars on her ceiling as she falls asleep to the same song. And I don't hate the song, but it's so opposing to the weird synthy stuff and then the 1960s music, or maybe, I don't know, maybe even earlier horror style music. It is kind of strange. So there are things in it that I think jar and kind of bring you out.
Yeah, I can't even, I mean, what year was this, you say, 2016?
It came out, I think, later than that. 2017.
2017. Okay, so I was wildly off.
Yeah,
2016.
I in my head I was thinking 2019.
The whole like 12 months.
But whatever. I think that I can't quite remember the storyline or anything like that. I do remember that watching it, I thought, oh, that's a nice shot, and I do remember the creature was creepy. Cool, yeah. I found it really hard to believe the layout of that apartment. It
was very strange, and it was hard to understand because she keeps looking out at the window across to this girl who kind of has this perfect life.
Yeah.
That she's envying, but at the same time, she can also look across and see her own house. So the layout is a little confusing.
I've seen that used in a few German films and Italian films. So maybe it's something.
It must be the shape. There's probably a courtyard.
The apartment gigantic.
Yeah. It is an enormous like home for them. And it does, I mean, it definitely feels low budget. Like I've seen housing units that are very similar to this in London, where it's just like a tower block and clearly like, you know.
But that would probably be like 3 apartments as opposed to 1.
Yeah, still. It does. It does feel like, it feels like maybe 8 apartments. Right. It's really
that
big.
All right.
Yeah, like not every room isn't huge, but there are a lot of rooms. So you're like, wait, is this another bathroom? What's going on here?
All right. So we went from one that's complete BS and fun and entertaining to one that was strangely BS.
Also complete BS. Come on.
Yeah.
Most likely. But there was a police report about a Ouija board. So
there you go.
In 91.
To one that is frighteningly true. Oh. Although it is a little bit embellished and dramatized for film's sakes, is 2007's The Girl Next Door.
Mm-hmm.
One sound down here, and I'll kill the both of you.
Nothing in my life has been right since the summer of 1958.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Time when even the guilty displayed a rare innocence.
See anything? Not even a goddamn elbow. Hold it. Wait.
He wants to sleep over there again.
What, next door?
I'm Meg. I'm David.
There are 2 young girls living at the Chandlers now.
So?
I hear you met her. Oh, your cousin. Yeah, down by the rock. Cute too, ain't she? What's that?
They were in an accident.
Both parents died too. Mom says they must have died instantly.
He just dropped by to get this to David.
She's something, isn't she? Mrs. Chandler must love having her around.
Tent worms. I'll do this one, and you can do the rest, okay?
I don't want to.
David? Hey, Meg, how's it going?
I haven't eaten in almost 2 days. Ruth hates me. We all do.
I don't care what you do anymore, bitch! Your sister is a goddamn bitch!
Nothing I ever do is right.
Doesn't sound like the Ruth I know.
Not so fun when it's your precious sister getting slapped around. Teach you to pick on people your own size.
You brought a cop here. After my mother!
Best policy, mind your own business. That's how you stay out of trouble.
So you think any more about it?
About what?
Getting Meg into the game?
We got our own game now.
You want to think about one thing, girl. Well, 2 things, actually. First, it could be your little sister hanging here instead of you. And second, I know some of the bad things you've done, and I'm kind of interested to hear them, so maybe this confessing isn't such a kid's game after all. I can hear it from the one of you, or I can hear it from the other. You just think about that.
This is not the porn one or whatever.
That's why, like, when you first said that, I was like, oh my God, that's based on a true story?
Duh, of course it is.
I saw that one in theaters. I was like, oh, sure, Girl Next Door. It's a fun film. I mean, I don't know how genre it is, but all right.
Well, this one's not pleasant. Anyway, so it's Rotten Tomatoes has reviewers at 67 and audience at 61, which seems somewhat right. I could not find really anything on the budget of the box office for some reason.
Yeah.
But it was directed by Gregory Wilson, going as Gregory M. Wilson for this film. Hiding his name a little bit or something. I don't know. But he's a director of Ghoul and Home Invaders. Written by Daniel Farrands, who wrote, strangely, 4 Friday the 13th documentaries, a Halloween documentary, and the fairly abysmal The Tooth Fairy horror film.
Not The Tooth Fairy starring The Rock.
No,
okay.
Not that one. Not the one from last week.
I was like, if that's a horror film, I am going to revisit that.
Based on the book by one of my favorite writers, Jack Ketchum, who died a lot older than I thought. He was 71 when he died. I thought for some reason he was in his 60s. And you remember this guy, Philip Nutman?
I know the name.
He passed away, unfortunately, in 2015 at 50. I screened his film, A Bed, in the 2014 Crypticon Film Festival, of which he attended. I believe he attended or had a lot of interactions with the guy. So he's a neat guy. I liked him. He acted in it playing a character named Craig Skip. So
was that the name in the book also?
I don't know. I should have checked on that, but I'm not sure. But Craig Spector and John Skip were two very good horror writers in the late 80s.
Oh, thank you for filling me in. I was very confused.
Stars William Atherton, who was the professor in Real Genius, or Walter Peck in Ghostbusters, Die Hard. He almost always plays a version of the same character. Sure. And Blythe Arforoth, I don't know, lots and lots of TV. Blanche Baker was in 16 Candles, Raw Deal, and a whole crap load of stuff. And a lot of kids. Let's see. This film is based on something that happened in depending on when you, 58, late 50s, early 60s. Man puts his 2 daughters under the care of her aunt, who already has 5 male children. The acting by the lady playing the aunt is truly disturbing. Aunt Ruth is not a stable person. There's several scenes of her giving the kids beer and talking about, they go to a circus and she talks about the dancing girls and would they like to see those dancing girls? Would they like to see her be like a dancing girl? It's just like, oh, you are an uncomfortable person. The stories, Jack Ketchum took some liberties with the original story in that he did not, which is amazing. If you've ever read Jack Ketchum, he's not a subtle author. He's written some fairly extreme stuff. He decided to kind of create a character who's a 12-year-old boy that lived next door, so he could separate from the actions of what was really going on and not necessarily do all the details of everything that happened. Like if he wrote it from the girl's standpoint or if he wrote it from the aunt's standpoint, he chose to separate to the guy next door. The names have been changed in the story. You don't necessarily get the original people. I'll be sticking with the names in the movie as they come up just because that's easier. It starts off with kind of a weird wraparound story, sort of like Saving Private Ryan starts with the guy. This is the boy next door as an adult trying to contend with what he let happen when he was younger. According to him in the story, he's never told anybody what happened, not even his wife and stuff, which is, I don't think it's a story I'd want to tell if I was been 12 and had witnessed all this shit. The aunt is taking care of these 2 girls, and she is horrendous. She's abusive and horrible to them. I'm not sure why. It's one of the weird parts of the story. And the real girl, there's 2 girls. One lived and one died. And the one who lived never fully even understood why she hated the 2 of them so much, but she was just evil to these girls. It comes across in the movie fairly well as sort of being she's jealous of them, but that might be kind of projecting as well. She mentally abuses the girls. She literally starves them, forcing them to work around the house while treating the boys like they're little gods. Remember, this one is based on a true story. I'll get to for that for sure when we get to the end of talking about the movie itself. And the girl who's being most abused takes very kindly to the neighbor kid because he's really nice to her, buys her some food, and they hang out. So in a fairly horrifying scene, she paints a painting for him, which you see him with at the beginning of the film. And the boy, thinking he can maybe make things better between her and the aunt, brings the painting back and tries to say that Meg painted it for her. And of course, the mom knows that's BS and goes apeshit crazy on her. And oddly enough, doesn't destroy the painting, or of course, does nothing mean to the kid, because he's the neighbor boy, I'm assuming, so she knows not to do that. The character is portrayed in the movie. The aunt is one of those people who you hear a lot, or you may have known in your life, who speak like they know everything, like they're really intelligent, but when they start to explain things, you realize, I'm not quite playing with a full deck here. Your A to D connections are lacking a B or a C or something in there. Meg tries to get help from a police officer, but one of her sons sees this happening, so he points it back to the aunt, and that's where the film really goes off the rails. The mom says, well, I've got to come up with a punishment for you because this is pretty extreme, so I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to think on it for a while. Maybe I'll let the boys come up with the punishment. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail for this, just so y'all know. They start by tying her up and balancing her on books and then taking a book away. So she has to hang more from her wrists. Beyond that, I'm leaving it. It gets horrifying. It's interesting, though, as a filmmaking thing, because it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is easily one of the more uncomfortable films to watch, but has virtually no blood. There is very little. They, of course, being stupid teenage boys, strip the woman at one point, but there's very little nudity, direct nudity, and there's very little blood or violence, although the implied stuff is so ghastly that I'm fine with that. There's a very strange scene where the son is trying to figure out or the neighbor boy is trying to figure out what he needs to do to help this girl. Because he's like, 11 or 12 and very confused and trapped in what's going on. So he tries to talk to his dad about whether he's ever hit a woman. And it's a very strange conversation the dad says where it amounts to, no, you should never hit a woman unless she's earned it.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, that's not going to help. Oh. The ending is substantially fictionalized. The ending to the film has a very different ending than reality. So I'll go ahead and kind of spoil the ending, I guess, just so in case you want to watch this, which you might. It's a well done film. The acting's incredible. Everything's good. It took me 3 segments to get through. I'd watch a little while, then I'm taking a 10-minute break, come back, watch a little, another 10-minute break. In the movie, the neighbor boy comes out and actually kind of helps her escape and tries to help her escape, and they end up killing the aunt. It's another happy movie. It's another one of those extreme films. Mm-hmm. But and it is horribly uncomfortable. It is so well acted and so well written that it's just uncomfortable to watch. And part of the reason I find really interesting reading through the reviews is very few of the reviews are, this is a crap movie. Most of the reviews that say bad things are because of the content, which means the film works. You just can't handle the content, which good on you. That's not a bad thing. So the reviews on IMDb range from like 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. There are not a lot of 6s or 7s for this one. Like I said, Jack Ketchum chose to keep himself away a little bit in the word he wrote it. It's a rough book. I've read the book too. It's an interesting read. It's got the intro to the one I read was written by Stephen King, who said, talking about how this is a horrifying story. But I recommend if you really want to feel the impact of this movie or this book, stop reading my intro now. Read the rest of it. Don't read anything about what's going on. Don't read anything. Don't read the back of the book. Nothing. Just read this story, and it will devastate you. And it does. which is, I did exactly what he said, because new Jack Ketchum novel. I'll read it.
Is the book like a fictionalized version, or is it meant to be true? Okay.
They're both fictionalized, but they also have a lot of the truth.
Okay.
I didn't go into the details of what was true, what they did to her.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are in the movie, like she was scarred and some horrible shit.
I read the Wikipedia, and that messed me up so much. I was like, oh, good Lord.
Yeah, there's a weird review to it that one of the reviewers said they tried to make it more palpable to the audience by putting it into the horror cinema. I did not feel this was a horror-based film.
Interesting.
And it sure as hell did not make it any more fun to watch.
It almost sounded like, on paper, like, was it you who did Dead Girl?
Kelly.
It was Kelly who did Dead Girl. It sounded like, if you just look at the bare plot, like it kind of resembled that, except for it's real.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real group of kids and psycho aunt. I kind of like this review, or I kind of find this review amusing and also dickish. If there's anything positive in The Girl Next Door, it's the brave performance by Offroth, who is in her early 20s. Other than that, there's little reason to see the movie. Unless, of course, you get off on watching the sexual exploitation of underage girls. I'm going to call bullshit on that, because that is not done in a sexualized manner. It is not done in a way that the person making the movie wanted you to get off on it. Yeah. It is, there's some segments of that kind of content, but it is done, it's uncomfortable. It's disturbing. It's dark. It's nasty. It is not like some kind of
it doesn't make you want to go out and do it or enjoy it on a. Yeah, it sounds like that person felt very uncomfortable and upset and took it out on other viewers.
Exactly. Yeah. There's and that's what a lot of the reviews are. They weren't, this movie sucks, it's poorly made. They were all like, I can't believe the content of this film.
Right.
The lady, the aunt, was got life in prison for first-degree murder. Her 17-year-old daughter, who is not portrayed in the film, who actually was one of the worst torturers of the young girl, got life in prison for second-degree murder. Three minors were also arrested, including two of the sons, and each did at least 2 years in a reformatory school. Let's see. The murder stands as one of the most extreme, depraved acts of violence towards a child that's ever been committed, that's been recorded. The parole hearing would spark outrage through the state of Indiana where it happened, but not enough to prevent the aunt's release. In 1985, she was released, moved to Iowa, and died of cancer in 1990. Most of the people involved have died or have managed to disappear themselves. The house where Sylvia was killed was demolished in 2009 because of what happened there. It just didn't happen to get destroyed and something built. They finally said it's time to destroy this house. So it's gone. There's been a few movies and films and shows about it. This one was a little bit more fictionalized, but really, really a tough watch. Unfortunately, unlike Bloodsport, this did happen in a lot of the ways, although this was obviously fictionalized. So if you're in the mood for something dark and uncomfortable, Girl Next Door is not a bad choice. But if you're smart, you're going to go, I'm going to consider this one of Eric's 5-star movies, and I'll just take this from it, and I ain't going to watch this mother shit. I would go with that advice.
It feels like if you're the kind of person who really enjoys watching, like, not enjoys, but is fascinated by watching serial killer films where it's like, it's really uncomfortable and hard to watch, but it's interesting. It feels like that's a more of a parallel to this mood.
Yeah, it is a true crime.
Yeah.
A fictionalized true crime or dramatized true crime story. Didn't you say you heard it on a podcast? Or
yeah, I used to listen to My Favorite Murder when that first started.
Yeah.
And this was one of the earlier ones they talked about, like episode 20 or something. And It was so horrifying. Are you familiar with My Favorite Murder, Vanessa?
I have not heard it, no.
It's two women who are obvious murder nuts. You know, they just love true crime.
Sure.
And they each pick a true murder to tell the other one about. And so they'll tell it, and then the other one is reacting like, oh my God, no way. And it's actually quite fun. But this one I remember being really difficult for both of them, the one telling it and the one listening to it. And the one listening to it is just like, I don't know if I want to hear the rest of this story.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a tough one to listen to. And then I remembered that the book had been written about that. And then I think they were talking about it because the movie was coming out or something like that. And everybody involved had basically said, well, I have no interest in reading the book or watching this movie or anything. It sounds so awful. This would be a tough story to listen to if it were fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, like, I think that's why it felt to me so much like Dead Girl, because I remember just listening to you talk about that and feeling really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this had a very similar feeling to me where I was like, oh, God. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I thought was kind of interesting, because originally when I heard about this story, I was like, why would the parents just like peace out on these girls and leave them with, like, you know, in the hands of somebody they didn't really know that well? And it's like they're actually circus performers, and they were trying to, or no, they worked at a circus.
They were traveling. Their job kept them traveling.
Yeah, and they wanted some stability for their daughters who weren't really participating in like the booth that they were running. So they were like, oh yeah, and the one of the daughters of this woman was friends with one of the two girls and was like, oh yeah, no, they get along so great. They can just hang out. I will treat them like my own. Just give me some money each week.
Yeah. And if the payments were late, which they frequently were because they were traveling, she took it out on the kids.
Yep.
The two girls.
So, yeah. And as far as like if the girls wanted to contact the parents and like write letters or anything, like the woman would like look at the content and ensure. And I think at one point the parents even visited, but the woman sat in the room the whole time to kind of ensure that. So I found that kind of really interesting, because you always, when you're watching horror films, you're like, just run out the door, or like just tell somebody. Like I find it interesting, the movie, they actually bring in the police.
Yeah, she tried to talk. Part of the thing that I don't remember if I read this being true or not. The younger sister was had polio or something. She had braces on her legs.
Yeah.
So that was part of the problem in trying to.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, because she did have problems walking in real life.
She didn't want to leave
her
sister.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, this wasn't like in small town America 1950. This was out in the backwoods almost, wasn't it?
Well, the book and the movie both have it in more of a suburb style thing.
Oh,
it was a neighborhood. They had neighbors.
Yeah.
They had very close by
because
neighbors.
the neighbors, especially for the real life one, there was a lot of people who afterwards were like, I did hear a lot of screaming, or I did see a girl walking around with an awful lot of bruises. It was very odd. You know, so there were all these people that like came out after. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh God, you guys. Yeah. See something, say something. Come on.
Not at that time.
Wow. Well, thanks, Eric.
You're welcome.
Really
bringing you all down here.
Well, I'd like to tell you about a different documentary I saw, Bloodsport 2.
Yeah, let's do you again.
God, I forgot Continuing Adventures of Frank Dukes.
Kumite Duke.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, boy. Well, I think I don't even want to give you an opportunity to pick another subgenre after that bullshit, Eric, but I think that you're next.
Yes, yeah. So we're going a little more mental.
Oh.
Ooh.
ESPN.
Wait, sports movies.
ESP based. It's like I have ESPN or something. ESP based films like Clairvoyance, or what's the one in Firestarter called?
Pyrokinesis.
Pyrokinesis, which is a made-up word.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Yep.
People who have mental powers.
Exactly.
I'm picking the X-Men. Fight me.
It's actually about civil war. I'm sorry, civil rights.
Civil rights.
Jesus, civil rights.
Okay, I like this. I'm on board with this one. All right, well, thanks to everybody who's listening, as usual. Thanks to you two for driving all the way over here and doing this in person in the sweltering office today.
I don't know. I'm getting a good tan. I'm trying to even things out here, so why not?
It's only, 75 degrees out there, but we're sitting in front of just about floor to ceiling windows, and so it's about 95 degrees in here right now. So that's it. We'll be back in 1 week. We're talking about Esper movies. Right?
Esperanto.
All right. See you guys later.
Later.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Margaret. Our theme music is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Aeons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts